Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. More doom and gloom from resident boxing insider Rick Glacier, who says Top Rank is starting to release fighters and employees. It's just the start of what's to come. Top Rank probably won't be celebrating their 60-year anniversary in March. It'll be more of an observance of the 60 years, not exactly a shining future for the once almighty Top Rank. To which a Twitter user who goes by the name El Patron responded, "No stars deal?" To which Rick replied, "Even if that happens, it's peanuts compared to what Top Rank had with ESPN." That is where Bob's previous comments about coming back on more than one platform would come into it. That if Stars isn't giving them the same money that ESPN was, they can make up the difference by partnering up with someone else. And what about Top Rank releasing fighters and laying off employees? What fighters did they release?
Rick didn't say.
And what employees have they released? Who got laid off?
Rick didn't say.
I'm of the opinion that if Rick Glacier actually had that information, he wouldn't have hesitated to put it out there, to broadcast it. So whatever he says now about Top Rank, I take with a pinch of salt. Because we already knew they weren't going to be doing shows in August, and they weren't going to be doing shows this month. And because there's been no official announcement about who they're going to be partnering up with moving forward, that leaves the door open for all sorts of wild speculations. That doesn't mean that Rick Glacier is wrong. That means I would give it more time before I take it from him. As far as employees being laid off and fighters being released from what I assume are their existing Top Rank deals, I'm not seeing that more than I'm seeing fighters being outsourced, rented out to other promotional outfits that can find use for them. Emmanuel Navarrete may soon be one example. Eddie Hearn on Sugar Nuñez versus Emmanuel Navarrete unification. I do think Top Rank are up for that fight. They need to give Navarrete activity and fights, and they don't have the deal to get him out, so we'll partner up. That fight in Phoenix or San Diego does massive business. We know that Sugar Nuñez successfully defended his IBF title this past weekend against a common opponent with Emmanuel in Pitufo Diaz. Sugar won the fight. And Emmanuel was there ringside, watching the action. Emmanuel entered the ring post-fight and had a little mock face-off with Sugar. It's not set in stone that these two boys are going to fight next, but if they were to try to, I don't think Top Rank would stand in the way of that. I don't think they can. I've heard rumors and rumblings about Navarrete's would-be arrangement with Top Rank that they don't actually have him under contract, but because they do a lot of business with Fernando Beltran and Zenfer Promotions, you see him under the Top Rank banner on a regular basis. Irrespective of the intricacies, I think Navarrete versus Nuñez, I think Top Rank wouldn't have a problem with that fight, but Gustavo Olivieri of the WBO, he might. President of the WBO, seemingly reacting to that face-off on Saturday night, said, "Navarrete must fight Suarez next. Regards." Would seem that the WBO poses a bigger obstacle to making that fight than Top Rank would. I think Top Rank would be okay with it, but how is Navarrete supposed to give Charlie Suarez a rematch if Top Rank is between broadcasters right now and they haven't announced a new one? Well, Navarrete is co-promoted by Top Rank and Zenfer Promotions, so they can do it. If Top Rank can't do it, let Zenfer do it. South of the border, that's one solution. If Gustavo really wants it to happen and needs it to happen, personally, I would rather Charlie wait In light of a unification match, I would prefer that Charlie step aside, let them fight, let them compensate him, throw him some money for his troubles while he waits for the winner of Nuñez versus Navarrete to emerge. That is too good a fight to let a little old mandate get in the way of it. The super featherweight division needs more attention, more unification matches, and if Eddie Hearn and Matchroom are willing to pay for it, I don't think anyone should stand in the way of that. Though more to the point, I don't think Top Rank would. Do you remember years ago when Mighty Mo Hooker was WBO champion at 140? And Jose Ramirez, he had the WBC? Top Rank didn't stop that fight from happening. Matchroom offered to make it, and they did, and Top Rank didn't stand in the way. So I don't think they'd stand in the way here. Now, least of all when they are between broadcasters. Further indication that they may be renting their fighters out at a time where they can't keep them busy themselves upstairs in the lightweight division. Rumors of a potential Raymond Muratalla versus Floyd Schofield fight that's being negotiated for February of next year. That would be billed as a Golden Boy Promotions show, making Floyd Schofield the house fighter. Isn't Andy Cruz the mandatory? Yes, he is, but there's been no mandate from the IBF ordering Raymond to fight with Andy, so at this time, Raymond does have the wiggle room to negotiate another fight with another fighter. But if that fight is the Schofield fight, and if that Schofield fight is all the way out there in February, it's conceivable that by the time Raymond has it, he's going to have to deal with Andy shortly after that. I mean, one way or another, whoever wins this fight, whether Raymond keeps his belt or he loses it to Floyd, whoever ends up with it, they end up with Andy Cruz. He becomes their problem. If this rumor checks out, it's further indication that Top Rank is outsourcing their fighters, that they could outsource Emmanuel Navarrete, and they could also outsource Raymond Muratalla. While they are between broadcasters and unable to keep these fighters busy, we may see them fighting under another banner, at least temporarily.
Why is Boots a sellout?
This is why.
Go.
Because this fight is the biggest of the biggest magnitude. If Crawford loses this fight, all the Mexicans is going to say they are running boxing.
So what? Maybe they are at the moment. At the moment. It's temporary, like everything else, like us.
Because of what Canelo did to Crawford, because he's the top pound for pound. We run boxing. And guess what? IBFP is pushing this narrative. Boots is helping them. So guess what? You want your little YouTube dollars? Just hold that L when they saying they run boxing after. You coon ass nigga.
And this is where the boxing talk stops being about boxing talk. Because that's a bit much. You don't think that's a little bit extreme? Over boxing?
Just congratulations. You did it. You made the Mexicans run boxing. Stupid.
So, wait. So let me understand this. So you're mad that Boots Ennis is sparring with Canelo to help him, so Mexicans won't run boxing?
Are you slow?
Are you slow?
Are
you slow? You're afraid that Mexicans are going to run boxing. That's why you're mad that Boots Ennis is sparring with Canelo?
Are you finished? Let me finish. Right? Aren't they already saying we run, we scared, we run around the ring, Mexicans?
Who is we?
That is IBFP, friend of the channel, responding to that belligerent guess with a very valid question. Who is this we that we're talking about? Because they don't say that about every fighter. Oh no, they might say that about Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, but they don't say that about Brian Norman, and they don't say that about Boots Ennis.
The Mexicans, you fool. You got low comprehension.
Who is we? Who runs around the ring? Who's we?
They say that black fighters run around the ring, nigga. You got amnesia to that, right?
Mike Tyson runs around the ring. Hold on, Mike Tyson runs around the ring. Anthony Joshua runs around the ring. Are they not black?
This is what they are saying.
Are you stupid piece of shit? Do you understand? You're promoting a racial narrative and divide. That's what you're doing.
And IBFP is 100% right. That particular caller is doing little more than bellyaching and causing a racial divide in the process of doing so. It's not that big a deal. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. And it's never going to be
over boxing.
So it would seem that the continued fallout of Boots sparring Canelo Alvarez, who's preparing for Terence Crawford, it's reached a fever pitch that has left the Terence Crawford faction of fans rattled and nervous.
To the point they're calling people sellouts and they're calling people coons because Boots helped Canelo.
I'll tell you why I know it's nervousness. I'll tell you why I know that made them worried. More than anything else, it's because, Boots ain't the first black fighter that helped Canelo spar. You know that, right? I mean, his regular sparring partner is Ronnie Ellis. And I never saw anybody losing their minds that Ronnie Ellis is helping Canelo Alvarez prepare for a fight. So what separates a Boots Ennis from a Ronnie Ellis? It's because Boots is actually perceived as being good, being one of the good boxers.
And that makes this guy nervous. This guy who called into IBFP all in his feelings.
Why should it be such a big deal if Boots Ennis is helping Canelo when Ronnie Ellis is helping Canelo and other fighters of that same denomination have helped Canelo? Why should that bother you? Underneath it all, it makes you nervous. It doesn't make you nervous if he's sparring Ronnie Ellis, but if he's sparring Boots...
Oh, he's a sellout.
I've long maintained that tribalism is a factor in all of organized sports. You're gonna root for the home team or the hometown fighter, and that's just the way it is. But it's all supposed to be in good fun. This is all intended to be entertainment. Your night's entertainment.
If you're getting to a point to where you're insulting people and calling them racial slurs, yeah, this stopped being about boxing and this stopped being about entertainment, at least for you, a long time ago.
Fragile egos. There's no other way to put it. And this guy's ego must have already been pretty fragile if he's getting this bent out of shape over a sparring session, because it's not even that big a deal. It's just sparring. Boots ain't Terence Crawford anyway.
All of this we talk. We.
When Terence Crawford eats, you don't shit. When Terence Crawford cashes a check, you don't get a piece. Don't take things so seriously.
It's boxing. It's never gonna be that deep.
I know a lot of guys that are just like IBFP that are going with the logical choice as they are governed by logic. In their logical opinion, Canelo is the likeliest guy to win. They could be right. They could be wrong.
But they are all leading with logic, not emotion. Not like that caller who's tantamount to a petulant child reading far too much into a goddamn boxing match.
These individuals that live vicariously through fighters or through athletes, that's how it often gets. I mean, I heard about a guy that drove over to another guy's house, shot him over a game of NBA 2K. If you can believe that. He killed a man. I'm not vain enough to think I can offer up any solutions for somebody whose mind works like that. Like, are you retarded or something?
Well, the short answer is yes.
Anyone that gets this carried away over something as arbitrary as a video game or a boxing match.
Not only do they have a very fragile ego, but they have the impulse control of a small child. A toddler.
If you're talking facts to somebody like that and you're talking logic, you may as well be saying it in another language. They won't understand you. They can't see past their own emotions. You may as well be speaking Chinese to somebody like that. If you get this bent out of shape over what is trash talk in the sport of boxing, because, some of those Mexican fight fans, some of those Canelo fans,
if he wins, they're gonna talk a lot of shit. Don't forget that in the era before this one, Floyd Mayweather talked a lot of shit. He talked a lot of shit about Latin American fighters and Mexican fighters. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Acting like a little bitch about it. I'll tell you what happens if Terence Crawford wins. You still owe the same bills to the same people, the same debt collectors. You've still got the same job, still live wherever it is you live.
With the same credit score.
If Terence Crawford wins. Now what happens if Canelo Alvarez wins? You still owe the same bills to the same people, the same debt collectors. You've still got the same job, still live wherever it is you live.
With the same credit score.
Do you see what I'm getting at? Not a lot changes for you based on the outcome of that fight. So don't read too much into things and try to have a good time, because it doesn't look like you're having one.
Lighten up a little.
Over to the men's heavyweight division, where Agit Kabayel eyes a homecoming show. And we've been hearing about this for a while. Frank is going to be working with some local outfits out there to put this together for Agit Kabayel in what is a much-deserved homecoming. WBC interim heavyweight champion Agit Kabayel, 28-0 from Germany, has announced on social media that details of a big homecoming show will be revealed in the next few weeks. Kabayel last fought in Germany on March 4th of 2023, 2 years ago, when he stopped hard-punching Croatian Agran Smakici in 3 rounds, but not before being hurt in the second. This was followed by 3 stoppage wins in Riyadh over Arslanbek Makhmudov, Frankie Sanchez, and Zile Zhang. Since beating Zhang, Kabayel, now promoted by Frank Warren and managed by Spencer Brown, has been waiting for news regarding his next step. Kabayel came up the hard way fighting on small shows and participated in the Bigger is Better tournament, where he went 2 for 2 in fights that aren't recognized by BoxRec nor the New Fight Facts. In 2014, Kabayel was described as raw and seemingly unfit by Danny Flexen in Boxing News after beating Jenga Olokun. Kabayel was then all set to fight July 26th of that same year on a small show in Karst. However, due to big fights among the small crowd, the rest of the event was cancelled. Kabayel was then signed by SES, and his career took off. A big break seemed to be on its way when Top Rank signed him, but his US career never really took off.
Still, Kabayel plugged away year after year, and here we are.
It was in November of 2017 when I first saw Agit Kabayel in action, and that's how I know that this isn't a fighter who all of a sudden was a good fighter. All of a sudden, he became world class. When I saw him handle Derek Chisora in what was one of those Matchroom in Monaco shows, I could see then, this guy's not half bad, he's actually pretty good. He's boxing circles around Derek Chisora, who is otherwise a live animal, and he's still a live animal today. That was years ago, in 2017.
But his career didn't really take off of that one win alone. He sort of fell off the map, fell off the radar after that, re-emerging on Turkey LL Sheik's shows. And that's really where he made a name for himself, taking on would-be bogeyman after bogeyman. So now, he's more than earned a homecoming fight, and his next steps are going to be careful ones because he's WBC interim champion. He's very close to becoming a full-fledged world champion.
And it's not by fighting Usyk, challenging him for all the belts and all the marbles. It's by doing the opposite. It's by not fighting him and simply biding your time and waiting him out, because he's going to retire, and the entire boxing world knows that. You stand a better chance of becoming a world champion by not fighting him.
Just wait. So, I don't expect anyone too challenging or anyone too dangerous for Agit Kabayel's homecoming,
as that would be foolhardy. It behooves Agit Kabayel to keep busy and keep the machine well-oiled, but don't roll the dice. You've done that enough times already that all you gotta do is wait. I expect this homecoming to take place before this year is out, and I expect that when they make it, it will be broadcasted live on DAZN.
I remember a few months ago Frank Warren said that he would be working with local outfits out there, enlisting the aid of local fighters, local talent, since it's going down in Germany.
So don't expect the upper crust of the Queensbury talent pool to make an appearance on this particular show.
Agit is the star.